Welcome to Mainland Television Regional Weekly News Roundup. I'm Graham O'Brien, and coming up in today's bulletin, Sealord profits over people, dam holds no water for some, Nelson leads by example, heads in the sand, council back on the old horse and cart. Sealord has confirmed the streamlining of their Nelson wet fish factory on Tuesday this week. Sealord has said that one of its 3 Nelson factories will move forward with the proposed changes, resulting in the loss of factory jobs. Work has begun to finalise the redundancies, and the last day of work for most factory staff is expected to be the 30th of January 2015. I spoke with Sealord General Manager Doug Paulin about these job losses. Okay, so Doug, we've finalised the job losses for this year. Can you tell us what the actual numbers are? There's some conflicting reports.
Kia ora, Graham. Yes, we've finalised what we're going to be doing with our wet fish factory. Essentially, there'll be 70 waged workers who will be impacted. There'll be 11 salaried staff across our site and support services, and 30 casual temporary roles. So all up 111 roles that are impacted in the change in our wet fish factory.
Yeah, that's huge for Nelson, isn't it? It's a shame. And what will actually happen to the factory afterwards? Is it being closed completely, or what's going on?
It was very important for us to not shut our wet fish factory, and we looked hard for an opportunity to turn it from a loss-making business into something that could be profitable in the future. So what we're doing is we're amending the products we make in that factory. We're looking to make fresh fish for the Australasian market and whole round frozen fish for the Chinese market, both products which are very small but high margin and in strong growth. So we think that's the future for that factory. So I'm pleased to say that we are keeping the factory open.
And that's all for fresh fish, correct?
Yeah, fresh and whole fish into China. So the Chinese market are looking for fish that hasn't been essentially cut. So we'll be freezing them whole and sending that to China. So fresh and whole frozen.
Yeah. And what was happening to the fish that you were processing there before?
So it'll leave us with about 2,000 tonnes less fish in the wet fish factory, and we'll be putting that fish onto our Sealord frozen at sea fillet trawlers, and essentially our staff who currently process at sea will be processing another 2,000 tonnes of fish. And
so there's no extra chance for those people off the land-based processing to go out to the boat processing?
We've got a number of roles vacant across the business in our other 2 factories on land and also at sea. So we've talked to the impacted people now that we've reached the end of the consultation, and they're able to apply for those roles. So we're very keen to redeploy people, and the actual end number will depend on how many people want to either go to sea or work in our other factories.
Sure. So there's some roles opening up there, and we won't know exactly till it's all been finalised.
Absolutely. And we do have some people, obviously, within our factory who have reached a stage of their life where they're actually looking to take voluntary redundancy, and for some of them it'll work out very well from a timing perspective.
We know Sealord's been through a tough time for the last 2 years in response to the Argentinian subsidiary UCAM being sold for a big loss, an undisclosed loss. Are these cuts in response to some of this?
We've looked at our business, and whilst we've returned to a very stable financial keel across the whole of the business, we've now looked at different parts of our business and said we need to be profitable in all aspects of what we're doing. So the Argentinian business is now behind us. The group's returned to profitability. However, we've got one aspect of the Sealord fishing business, which is our wet fish factory, which isn't performing at a profitable level, and we needed to do something to change that.
I know that the Service and Food Workers Union said you didn't really have a very good convincing case for restructuring here, and I know that Sealord is saying they're making a 20 million plus profit forecast for this year. What would you say to that? Is there some argument there?
Well, I think you've got to look at the role that the Service and Food Workers Union play, which is very strong in terms of representing employees. They've got a position that they need to uphold in terms of representing their members. They've done that very well in this process. However, we've got the financial position for that part of our business, and it's making substantial losses. It's in the many millions. and it's fine for the Service and Food Workers Union to disagree with that. However, I'm the one that's accountable for the total profit of this part of the business, and we needed to do something, otherwise the total business becomes unsustainable.
Sure, yeah, sure. But I'm just saying with the forecasted profits for 20 plus million, things are looking up for Sealords, but not for the workers.
Well, I think for the workers that are left, they'll be in a very good position. We're going to have a factory which we believe we can make profitable. There'll be opportunities for further employment in the future where we can look to grow that part of our business. And the only way you can really afford to pay employees more and make their terms and conditions better is to become more profitable. If we can't do that and we're on a ever decreasing slide, then inevitably it's the workers who get impacted. So, I'm hopeful that over time, employees will actually end up in a better position.
Yeah, sure. And a good case argument is that, the more mechanised we get and the more streamlined we get, the less workers we actually need, but the more profits we make. So what would you say to that?
Oh, look, I think automation, I think efficiency, productivity gains, all of those things are important. And indeed, in the changes we're making in our wet fish factory, actually some of our lower paid roles will go, and there will be, for the people that are left, some people who actually go up in wages in terms of the roles that they'll be doing. So we're looking for multi-skilled people that can do more than one role, and we're prepared to pay people more in order to become higher skilled. So, those people that remain in the wet fish factory are liable to do better over time.
Excellent. Thanks very much for your time.
No problem. Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks very much. Cheers. I also managed to catch up with Service and Food Workers Union representative Neville Donaldson. Alrighty, hey, thanks Neville for coming in. It all sounds rather upbeat from Sealords upper management. How's it looking from the workers who are behind these statistics?
Well, what you've got to understand is that they may see this as upbeat, but there's about 150 people who, as of the 30th of January, are going to be unemployed, out on the market looking for alternative employment at the same time. And the likelihood of people attaining additional or alternative full-time employment is pretty remote. Yeah. The second part of it is, although I appreciate that they could have looked at a time frame like a lot of companies and laid people off in December, there's no getting away from the fact that people will still be on holiday thinking about the fact that they're not going to have a job in 3 to 4 weeks' time. So it's not going to be the most comfortable Christmas anybody's spent, that's for sure.
Sure. And with all the hail and everything that we've had lately, that's going to get rid of a lot of the summer jobs that a lot of people rely on as well.
Yeah, well, the summer jobs tend to be more seasonal. They're around the horticulture, and it's unusual for them to offer more than minimum wage. And nobody can live in Nelson on the minimum wage, that's for sure.
Well, we just got the figures yesterday with the most unaffordable housing in the country for 12 years running now. Yeah. So there you go. Do you feel, from the union point of view, do you feel that there's any way that Sealords could have restructured more to the advantage of the New Zealand workers?
Yeah, look, I think it's fair to say that there has been quite a difference in opinion around the need for this restructuring between Sealords and the union. And our position is not an uninformed one. It's an opinion that we've formed subsequent to receiving all the justification from Sealords. So I think it's an opinion that we have an entitlement to hold. And at the end of the day, our view is that Sealords is a New Zealand company who operates and makes profit from a New Zealand resource. And that resource is harvested out of the exclusive economic zone. And therefore there should be, in our view, priority towards employment and income security for New Zealand workers. Now, in this instance, 2,000 tonnes have been transferred, as I understand it, for processing on the Rehua. Now, that's fine, because that's the New Zealand boat employing New Zealand workers. But instead of laying off New Zealand workers at land-based processing, they should have been withdrawing that 2,000 tonnes from what's going to China for added value processing. Or they should be reassessing the need for 3 Russian trawlers operating under contract to them in preference to work for New Zealanders. And so no, we're not happy at all about the decision that they've made, and we're certainly not happy seeing 150 New Zealand workers being made redundant where we think there were viable alternative operational options available to the company.
Yeah, and the general manager there talked about that China wanted whole fish, so they were freezing them as whole fish. That's like exporting whole logs. There's no jobs in that for us, is there?
There's not a lot of jobs, that's for sure. But I do understand that it is a high value, high profit return, a business it does provide some work in glazing, and it's not as if that fish is going in there to be added value processed like the hoki is at the moment. And it's the hoki that could sustain those additional New Zealand jobs. I think this is a niche market that they've found that provides a good return. And I accept that they should be taking up those opportunities. But alternatively, the general added value processing in China of hoki, that should be reconsidered and reallocated back to employment security for New Zealand workers.
Sure, and Sealords is estimating a 20 million plus profit for this year. Seems a pretty harsh call to make. How do you feel about that?
Well, again, that just reinforces our view. Sealords wouldn't have achieved that level of profit in quite some time. And so what we've got here is probably one of their better ever profit years. And the thank you that the people that contributed to that got was 150 of them are looking for work.
Yeah, it's a harsh call, and it's hard to understand how these jobs are going away, more and more, and overseas, to overseas boats, overseas markets.
Well, at the end of the day, you look at any business, and there'll be those areas that are doing really well, and those areas that from time to time can struggle. But you look at the overall performance, and the overall performance of Sealord in the last 12 months. Has seen one of their best ever profit returns. And the people who are being made redundant have also been in a situation where they have increased productivity, reduced costs to the extent of millions of dollars on what was previously the case. So, those issues all combined to me say there should have been a much greater level of loyalty to those workers than what has been shown in this instance.
Sure. Hey, thanks very much, Neil, for coming in, and thanks for standing up for the workers' rights.
No worries, appreciate it. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. The Tasman District Council has been processing submissions on the proposed Lee Valley Waimea Community Dam proposal. The council has received hundreds of written objections over the dam proposal, mainly with concerns over the expense to ratepayers who do not recognise a need for it. The future water for our growing region is a major concern, but is the dam the answer? Gary Watson looks at one alternative to the dam.
The Tasman District Council is currently hearing submissions on the Lee Valley Waimea Community Dam, but with huge opposition and the estimated costs continuing to escalate, the question is there an alternative solution to addressing the region's long-term water supply? Over 10 years ago, the TDC looked at piping water from Nelson Lakes, but did they take into account all the facts? Lake Rotorua is approximately 22 kilometres long by 2 kilometres wide and 145 metres deep maximum, and it is a potentially huge natural water reservoir for the Nelson and Tasman region for the foreseeable future. Lake Rotorua is in a larger catchment area with a higher rainfall than the Lee Valley. The water is flowing down the Gowan River into the sea right now in huge volumes. The small amount of water required would barely be detectable from the river, and the collection facility could be totally concealed. Using pure lake water means no major environmental damage, no risk to life of a dam breaking, and is a very simple and low-cost, reliable solution. Past studies are believed to have included the cost of purchasing land and all the legal costs involved, but this is not a major issue now, as pipeline costs are low and the land is mostly available at no cost. The existing railway reserve corridor from Brightwater to the Gowan River is still in place, including all the tunnels, and is an ideal gentle slope path for an above-ground, low-cost pipeline, so almost no land purchase is required and little earthworks. An above-ground large pipe is low cost to maintain and repair if required, and it would provide over 300 metre head at Brightwater, where the surplus could be discharged into the Appleby River and thus generate about $20 million worth of electricity every year, whilst also maintaining the current Waimea aquifers. The electricity revenue could pay the interest and the principal on the loan with little or no ratepayer funding required. A pipeline could provide Nelson and Tasman with an almost endless supply of quality water that would require little treatment. Existing water users could keep their current systems with no water restrictions, and their current water consents could even be increased. Auckland pipes its water from the polluted Waikato River with pumps and filters, but in our case it's a gravity-fed system and no pumps or costs in pumping are required. Piping water long distances is done all over the world. It's low cost. It can use low-cost PVC pipes in the upper areas where there is low pressure and steel pipes in the lower section where there is about 300 psi. Laying the pipeline above ground is low cost and the whole project could be done within 2 years, so the benefits can be enjoyed earlier. This idea removes all the negative arguments of the building of a dam. Water rights and consents are required no matter which option is decided, but a pipeline is a very simple solution. Despite what the experts say, there are dams in New Zealand and all over the world that break. They kill people and destroy property. They are said to be 100% safe. Pipelines have next to no risk as they have shut-off valves and a limited flow. The Lee Valley Waimea Community Dam would flood a huge area, adversely affect a lot of people, and could only generate a very small amount of electricity compared to what the pipeline to the lake would generate. The question is, would the TDC and engineers consider this alternative or oppose it, as who can make big consultancy fees from just a pipeline and hydro compared to the complexities of a dam and all the issues associated. Using lake water would not require a huge region-wide rate increase because of the electricity generation revenue component. Maybe it's a case of a pipe dream actually being the alternative solution.
With the end of November comes the end of Movember, with the judging done on Sunday at the Victoria Rose Tavern in Nelson. The categories were Most Manly, Best Ginger, Best Porn and Best Babyface. I spoke with some contenders just before the prize giving to see what categories they thought they could win.
Definitely Most Manly, I think. He'll win that for sure, yeah.
You think you can agree with that?
Oh, yeah, we'll see. We'll see. As long as there's not too many gingers out there.
And did you grow that moustache in the month?
No, I didn't. No, it was a big dirty beard for maybe 2.5 months. Yeah.
Still bloody good effort, well done.
Yeah, it has to be done.
No category, I'm Chopper Reed.
Oh, that would have to be the most manly then, wouldn't it?
I would think so. Yeah.
Any agreement over here?
Yeah, most manly.
Definitely the most ugly, I think. Definitely, yeah.
And it just taken you a month to grow that good mo there, bro?
Yeah, just 4 weeks, yeah. But I've cheated a little bit because I work at the man cave, and apparently it was obligatory that I had to grow a moustache for this event. And I was devastated because I'd just grown my beard, and so I had to shave it all off. I was pretty upset. So I've gone like semi-rough, you know. So I think it's just ugly. Yeah, that's the one I'm winning.
Oh, that's good commitment to the job and to the Mobro cause.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's all part of the service at the man cave, isn't it? You know?
I imagine it'll probably be the baby face. You know, growing a mustache has never been a strong suit of mine, but it's all for a good cause.
Excellent. And only took you a month to grow that, Mo?
Took me a month. Generally don't have one. I started from scratch. I'm a registered nurse, so men's health is very important to me, and that's why I'm supporting the endeavour.
You want to do something a little bit more? Congratulations. Let's give him a big round of applause, folks. The best man in moustache.
This week, Nelson's high-profile horse-driven vagrant Lewis Standen went to the High Court in an appeal to overturn an injunction made by Nelson City Council, which orders him to comply with a parking bylaw made by Council in central Nelson. In October, an injunction sought by the Nelson City Council was granted by Judge Arthur Tompkins, which now means that Stanton, more commonly known as Hone, has to pay for parking and adhere to parking time limits within the city centre. The council sought an injunction because Stanton has repeatedly ignored its parking bylaw, racking up more than $50,000 in fines for parking his horse and cart in the CBD. Stanton made the appeal this week through his lawyer Stephen Zindel in the High Court at Nelson before Justice Lowell Goddard. Judge Goddard has reserved her decision. We sent James, who caught up with Hone, to ask him why he thinks he's been unfairly targeted by the council and what would be the effect on him by the latest injunction.
Hi there, I'm here today with Hone to talk about some of the trouble he's been having with the council recently. So Hone, why do you feel you've been targeted by the council?
Well, for a start, each and every one of us are entitled to have the freedom of movement in this country. Each and every one of us have the freedoms to make a choice in our today's society. You know, like if we want to live in a conventional house with a conventional telephone or have a car or anything like that, we've all got to sign on that dotted line. I chose not to sign on that dotted line. I was freely moving around the place when the Nelson City Council violated my basic human rights by, first of all, continuing to try and stop me from coming here to Nelson with a 99.644% blanket ban. Now that wasn't the first time. There's a case going back in 2001 in which the council lost. There's a case in 2006, 2007 for basically the same things. It's all to do with trespassing. That the council also lost, and then they tried the blanket ban. Okay, if they can get away with trespassing myself, for instance, or getting away with doing what they're doing to myself, then what's to stop them from doing it to you? If they can get away with doing it, if the Nelson City Council can get away with doing it to me, then what's to stop every other council from doing exactly the same?
Pull your heads out of the sand is what climate change action groups will be telling the government this coming Sunday the 7th at 11:30am at Tahunanui Beach. Heads in the Sand protests. Local concerned parent Sarah Cooper was out last Saturday informing people of this nationwide action with some help. I interviewed a few people about their opinions on climate change. You got a guy with his head in the sand here. What's going on?
So what we're doing is there's a nationwide event happening, and pretty much what we're doing is by getting as many people as we can to the beaches around New Zealand and getting them to stick their heads in the sand, taking photos of this and showing the nation that we can see what the government's doing with regard to their policies on climate change and mining in this country. And yeah.
So you organised a climate change march a couple of months ago. Is this a carry on from that, or is it something different altogether?
Well, in a sense, I guess it is just all awareness building and just keeping the pressure on to wake up, really, because we really need to do something. We need to stop driving cars around, gradually just transition. I've just gone and bought myself an electric bike so that that's my new vehicle to go get my groceries and my boy to and from kindy, so that's going to be interesting. Yes, and even in the rainy weather, I'll stick a raincoat on and survive it. I survived the shower and I survived the ocean, so that's cool.
Excellent. And this is an idea like think globally and act locally?
I guess it is, yeah. It's a global problem, but we've got to focus on what we can do, the positive action that we can do locally, because that's the bite that we can chew.
Have you got any opinions on climate change?
Yes, I think what's behind us is dead right, because New Zealand do have their heads in the sand, and we should be looking at pulling our heads out of the sand so that we can see where we're going in the future. New Zealand is destroying a lot of trees and bird life, etc., and we need to be looking at that to reconstruct our spare land and put trees back on there so that we can get the bird life back in.
Excellent. So you're really keen on getting some renewable energy in New Zealand up and going?
Yes, I have a bit of a hill up where we live, and I've been cutting back all the rubbish and the gorse and replanting natives back into that bit of plot of land to bring back the life, and I wish New Zealanders all over would be doing the same so that we can have a great country for our future grandchildren.
Climate change is something we need to seriously consider. It's important that we address it now and not leave it to the future generations, because I'd like our kids, when we have them, to live in a clean environment, and it's just important for everything in the ecosystem as well.
Sure, yeah, that's fantastic. Yeah, because I mean, our ancestors didn't just leave things for us to deal with, otherwise we wouldn't have the world we have in.
Well, definitely not. No, you're right at that point. Yeah. Do you have any?
No, I completely agree. Like, climate change is such a huge issue, and I don't think many people take that seriously, especially in government, and they should. And, you know, the facts are there. I did a geography degree, so I know the facts are there, and it does exist, and it is a huge issue.
Well, yeah, this is the problem. There seems to be a lot of facts, like you say, facts out there that they seem to be ignoring because it's not what our corporations really want. You feel that's true?
Yeah, and I mean, we're all guilty, like we all use cars and stuff like that and energy, but, you know, I think like we can do little things where we try and minimise the effect that we have on the earth, because, you know, fuel's not going to be around forever, and, you know.
Hey, that's great, thanks very much. If you want to know more about our local news, go to our Mainland Television Nelson New Zealand Facebook page and find more news stories online. After the break, we'll bring you the latest weather update and some events and happenings coming up from around the region.
You'll love the great Christmas savings this week at New World. Like Surf Laundry Powder just $3.49. Your cats will love Purina One only $14.99. Plus Bundaberg 4-packs are now a very jolly $5.49 each. It must be Christmas.
Social networking is all the rage on the internet, and millions of people all over the world visit one of the many social media sites every day, like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. A new social network that allows you to get paid for posting pictures. This platform brings e-commerce and social media together in one place and makes it possible to make money by sharing your content online. The system is very simple to use, whether you log into the website or use the mobile app. How does it work? The website works very much like any other social media with a twist. You can earn money from the content you share. You can increase the opportunity of making additional income by connecting your other social media sites like Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All you need to do is learn 3 simple steps. Snap it, tag it, and share it. Sign up today, http://kiwi1.igrowtour.com.
From small cars to trucks to commercial vehicles, we have all the leading brands of tyres, including Bridgestone. Our local professional qualified team serve the entire region 24/7. Tasman Tyre Treads, serving Richmond, Motueka and Golden Bay.
On behalf of the team here at Mainland Television News, thank you for joining us.
supporting local content so you can see more of New Zealand on air.